Hey YouTube, Matty's Daddy 12 here with another legit YuGiOh deck profile, and in this one I'm going back to my tried and true Evilswarm deck. Deck's been good to me, and I'm trying to be faithful to it because the deck has been good to me. So a lot of people, like, it wasn't very good last format because we had a bad Fire Fist matchup, and we still do. But, you know, it is what it is. You still have bad matchups with decks, and you got to deal with those. But a lot of people were kind of just put off by this deck because they're like, well, it's not going to be good next format either because Boojins are gonna rule. Well, that's not exactly true right now. If you look at the way the format has shaped up here at the very beginning, we've got Mythic Rulers, Heretic Rulers, and Mermills that are all doing really well, which are all good matchups for this deck. Like, this deck would prefer to see those matchups than the Fire Fist matchup. So, or the Boojin matchup as far as that's concerned. So, like, I could see this deck making a little bit more push into the meta again. And I'm going to give you guys my profile on this. So, triple Heliotrope, triple caster, like, nothing's really changed much. I did bump up to the third Thunderbird. For a couple different reasons, but I'm going to go ahead and run through the monsters, the Evilswarm monsters. Triple Mandragora and triple Kyrkion. Those are my Evilswarm monsters. I bumped up the Thunderbird to 3, and Mandragora has become a lot more important to this deck, mainly because of my game plan going in with this deck. My game plan is obviously turn 1 Ophion if I'm going first. If I'm not going first and I'm going second, my game plan is to then try to Exiton as early as possible. And what Mandragora was doing for me before is I was running 3 if I was going second, so that way I could special summon him, have a better way, a more consistent way of making Ophion. Well, I'm not entirely sold on Ophion right now. I'm wanting to make Exiton also, and Mandragora actually helps me do that. So, like, he does the same thing for me. He makes my rank 4 plays if I'm going second, and Exiton is the card I'm wanting to go into. So, like, this is my Evilswarm lineup now. Thunderbird's up to 3 because it keeps the body on there, and it allows me, again, to make my Exiton plays a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, it's fairly standard. Kyrkion is good. Caster is good. Heliotrope is actually just as good as anything else. Everybody thinks the normal monster is the slow one of the group, but he's actually the biggest, and he's not hurt by Fiendish Chain. He's the biggest normal summonable monster in the meta right now at 1950. Like, nothing else is bigger than that in the regular meta right now. So, like, he's huge, and you just can't do a lot about it because you can't stop him with Fiendish Chain, and he just kind of gets out there and just pokes for the 1950. Rescue Rabbit, you're running your normal, so you got to run him. Plus, if you can resolve this, if there's a situation where you can resolve it late game, if your opponent is at less than 4,000 life points, 2 Heliotropes, 3,900, and can win the game for you. Actually, no, if he's within 47, because you could double Heliotrope and then go into Cowboy for game. So yeah, like, he gives you a big reach into game. Last, another standalone monster, Thunder King YuGiOh. This one just recently made his way back into the deck. Like, he's been out of the deck for a while, but he's really good. Like, I keep talking about my ideal play is to either Ophion first turn or Exiton second turn. Of course, that's ideal, but the plays that I love making in this deck is, of course, Ophion set 3, Thunderbird set 3, or Thunder King set 3. If I could do either one of those 3 plays, especially early, I feel like I'm doing really well, because those are all situations that my opponent really has to work to get past. And I feel comfortable in those 3 plays, in those 3 openings. So there you go. That's the monster lineup. I think it's 16. I don't know. I really need to start counting these things before I start doing these deck profiles. Oh well, it is what it is. Double Pandemic. Now, I keep saying it. I've said it 3 or 4 times now. My game plan is to Ophion or Exiton second turn. So I want to put Pandemic up to 3 because I want to see Pandemic as early as possible because I want to have Pandemic to protect my Exiton play. He is Evilswarm Exiton Knight, so I can Pandemic him and protect him from your Fiendish Chains or your bottomless trap holes or whatever you're wanting to use against him, Torrential Tribute or whatnot. So, like, the Pandemic needs to be there so I can make that play. However, I don't really know what I want to take out to make room for it. So, 2 is comfortable. 3 I feel like maybe a little too much, but I also want to see 3 because I want to see it in my opening hand. And that's the reason you're going to run 3 copies of anything, is because you want to see it as early as possible. You want to see it in your opening hand. Seeing it in my opening hand becomes Upstart. I want to see this in my opening hand because I want to thin my deck as early as possible and as often as possible. So Upstart Goblin really gets me there. I've said it before in other videos, like my consistency in making Ophion turn 1 has gone up tremendously since putting in the Upstarts. Like, I guess Hobening the deck as much as possible. I'm not going to put in Reckless. I don't really like the Reckless or Greed idea in this deck. I could see it kind of fitting in. I don't know. Not for me, though, in this deck. Triple MST. Again, I want to make my Exciton and Ophion plays, and this will make it happen for me. MST the back row, then make my Exciton play, and then just kind of go from there. Rhoda for my caster. And 1 Book of Moon, just in case I get into a situation where they have Trap Stunned me, or maybe Royal Decree or something, I guess. I still have a somewhat live play that I can play, or live card that I can play defensively. And, yeah, there you go. My monster lineup. No more dresses. Not a big fan of that card right now. I guess he could still fit in, though. Alright, trap lineup. Infestation Infection. Such a good card. Such a good card. You can use this against Mind Crush. You can use this against just any kind of monster removal that they'll have. Stick your monster off the board back in. This keeps your rabbit live deep into the game. You keep putting your heliotropes back in. If you have a dead rabbit in the deck and say you've already drawn into 2 heliotropes, you can Kyrkion, add a heliotrope back, summon it, and then infection it back into put the heliotrope back into the deck, and that'll put the second heliotrope back into the deck, make the rabbit live late game. So yeah, like, this card is so clutch, so good. Triple Fiendish Chain. You got to stop effects. I've said it a couple times on Facebook and in my other videos. Like, I feel like effect negation is going to be extremely important in this meta right now, and the Triple Fiendish Chain gets me there. Double Mirror Force and double Deprison. I want to stop attacks. Is it obvious? I want to stop attacks, and I want to eliminate your monster without having to make my monsters do the work. I want to be able to eliminate your monster without having to use any of my extra deck stuff. I want to be able to make my toolbox rank 4 plays as I see fit, not to answer stuff that you're doing. So I want my back row to answer those problems and then go from there. XC Reborn is a card that has made its way back in. I've play tested this card on several different occasions and have never really liked it. However, here recently with the addition of Exciton Knight, what I love doing aggravates my opponent so bad. You set this, they go, they make a big push. Then as they go to enter battle phase, you XC Reborn, bring back Exciton Knight, equip XC Reborn as a material. You've created a redirect because you have changed the number of monsters on your side of the field. As you redirect, you're inside their battle phase. You activate Exciton Knight, and then kaboom. Oh, I've resolved that a couple times and have made some people rather salty, is the swag word to use, right? Yeah, that's what you young kids are saying. Salty. Yes, I made a lot of players salty with that. Solemn Warning, Torrential Tribute, Bottomless Trap Hole, and a 1 of 7 Tools of the Bandit. That rounds out the main deck. 7 Tools is actually pretty good, guys. Like, this deck gets hurt by Trap Stun, and I don't want to say it's in there just for Trap Stun, because there's other stuff that I'm going to want to stop, but it is done really, really well at being set on the field when I've needed it to stop a Trap Stun. So there you go. That's the main deck. It is 40. I do know that number. Here is the extra deck, and it is 15. I know that number also. Triple Ophion. If you are saying that this card is not as good because the meta is not special summoning, you are wrong, because this guy is still a 2550 beater that can search his own lance. This guy is so good in so many matchups just because he has that huge body and is a huge problem for my opponents just because of that body. So Triple Ophion. Double Exciton Knight. I do like playing the Double Exciton Knight. Like I said, I want to make one as early as possible to blow up the field to gain my advantage. And then I also want another one in there so I can use it appropriately, I guess is the best way to refer to it. That way I can pull it off when I want to at the select time, as opposed to just going into it and just blowing up the field just to gain advantage. I'm down to one Bahamut. The reason I'm at one Bahamut right now is because I want to play the Evilswarm Nightmare. Evilswarm Nightmare is really good because it can stop a lot of I've said it. If you can't go over Ophion because of his effect, you want to go under him, which means you want to try to exceed into something, and you're still almost always using some form of special summoning, like with Madolches and with Geargia, and Evilswarm Nightmare can answer that for you because he's 1950 defense, which is a fairly nice butt, and then he can also flip the stuff face down that they special summon. So like he's still really good, and you need to tech him into anything. Actually, anything running darks probably needs to have him. One Key Beetle, making a lot of plays off of that. One Silent Honor Arc, one Maestro, one Crazy Box. Skill Drain is a card in the meta, and you got to deal with it in some way. Gaga Cowboy, like I said, with the rabbit play, double heliotrope, and this guy gets you 47 damage. One Dweller, one Diamond Dyer. Never really use him, but as a rank 4, I feel like you got to have him in there because he does stuff for you. And one Black Ship of Corn. I actually lost a match at ARG St. Louis because I took this card out of my extra deck shortly before the tournament started, and I could have used it in my last round, and ended up losing that match because I didn't have an answer to a defensive monster that he had on board. Red Ox. I didn't have an answer to a Red Ox, and this could have gotten rid of the Red Ox and could have given me a chance to push for game, but I didn't have it. So this guy's going to make his way back in. He's going to stay there. That's my extra deck. It's 15. I remember that number too. A couple things that I want to talk about from the side deck. Some things that you can do. Of course, the Eradicator. You've got to have the Eradicator, and you got to have Deck Devi right now. Eradicator is going to hurt a lot of stuff, especially like spell books and stuff, which I still think is going to make it into the meta. But Deck Devi can hurt so many more things right now. Like, it devastates Geargia. No pun intended. Like, it really devastates Geargia. It can hurt Mermills. It can hurt a lot of other stuff. Like Deck Devi is actually really, really good, and you need to you've got to have it in this side deck. And then the last card that I want to talk about is actually Skill Drain. Like, I said something about this before about it hurting this deck, but when you really stop and think about it, like, Evilswarm Ophion is a 2550 body that they have to deal with. So whether or not his effect to stop the special summoning helps you in the matchup, his 2550 can help you with the matchup. And anything that can't get over him is going to try to go under him. Something like a wind-up situation or a Madolche situation. If you skill drain their Exceed monsters that they're going to try to bring out and stop their effect monsters, any of the stuff that they're going to bring out to try to answer Ophion with their effects is not going to have a big enough attack to get over the 2550. So where this card may actually hurt you in the side deck, I'm obviously not going to bring this in against Mythic Rulers or against Heretic Rulers, or probably not even Mermills or anything like that. It could help you out in a lot of rogue matchups, because the rogue matchups are going to have the issue dealing with that big body, and they're going to need their monsters' effects to do that. So there you go, guys. That's Evilswarms right now for Maddie's Daddy 12. Something that I'm probably going to stick with for a little bit of this format, at least a month or so. So, yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Make sure you head over to Legit YuGiOh. Check out the YuGiOh articles. Also, make sure you head over to Legit MTG. Check out all of the Magic the Gathering articles, and don't forget to head over to the Legit MTG store and check out whatever your gaming needs may be. I appreciate it, guys. Subscribe, comment down below, and show us how much you love us.